Okay, I got the Mikolo bench unboxed. We're getting ready to start assembly. It comes with a blister pack right here of all your bolts. You will notice there's some hardware in there and some tools, but it comes with these 1-inch bolts or 36 millimeter bolts. So you're going to have some type of larger wrench, a socket, even an impact or something like that, which I'm going to use because these tools are not going to be able to get these big bolts on there. But these other tools should work for your smaller bolts and washers to put the seat pad on. So really all you have to do, you got two big 1-inch bolts or 36 millimeter bolts that attach the back on. And then your, 6, 8, 12, 14 bolts to do the three different seat pads. So we'll throw it together real quick. Simple. You're just going to go bolt, washer, line it up through the hole, attach the back piece. Then you're going to do another washer. And these are lock nuts. They have a nylon threading in there. So once these are on there, you should never have to really tighten them again. They're going to have almost a permanent solution with the lock washers on there. And then you just repeat that process for the other side. Having an impact or something will make pretty quick work of this. And there you go. Now your base is on. And now you just need to add all the seat pads. Bolts and washers are shrink wrapped on here, so they're pretty difficult to get out. I mean, they could have made it a little easier for you to unpack it, but I mean, I'm not having to like rip them out of the plastic. Like even if I cut it off, I'm still having to like dig in there, dig into that plastic because it's almost like it's melted to the thing. Pretty simple here. Also, these seat pads are already pre-threaded, and you have these little bolts. You're just gonna put a washer on each bolt and then screw it into the pad. And just installing the pads and everything, you can see all the different metal and types of metal and how everything's made. You know, it is like a thinner steel. I can tell these all look to be like 14 gauge steel. There may be a few points and some of the brackets and stuff where it's thicker. It's 11 gauge steel, but the majority of it is like a 14 gauge steel. It does have laser cut holes, laser cut numbers, but you can tell just the fit and finish is just not quite there. Some of the edges are sharp. I mean, not sharp where it'll cut you, but they're not rounded off. Those are some of the things you see like in a higher end bench that's more expensive. But this should do a lot of the same things that the other ones do. And we're going to test it and find out. Instead of using those little tools that came with it, I'm just going to use my socket here to knock out these bench pads really quick. Okay, we got it all assembled. Got the boxes out of the way. A couple of the first things I noticed right about it is this is the new bench from Mikolo. This is their updated version. We saw it at Home Gym Con, and it had a similar design, but there was no closed ladder system. This one now has the closed ladder system, and you have 3 different levels of adjustment. You have 0, 10, and 25 degrees on the front seat, and it has kind of a built-in handle there that you're able to manipulate. And then the seat pad goes from decline. I'm not sure the exact levels of the decline, the degrees, but it does have 3 levels of decline. This post moves up and down. So you can go from flat, and then you adjust this for the different decline levels. So you just roll it down into the flat position and then adjust your post up and down. But going up, it goes 10 degrees, 20, 30, jumps to 45, 60, 70, and 85 degrees in that full position. But what's really cool about it, it has this detachable pin here, and this pad adjusts. So you can do things like seated face pulls. You can do chest supported rows on a bench, pulling from this way, get this out of the way. You can sit here and do your shoulder presses and overhead presses without having the back pad or something in the neck getting in your way. You can do behind the neck stuff. So this is one of the cool features about it. It's overall pretty solid bench. It would be considered a budget bench at this price level, but you get some of the cool features that some of the higher end benches have, but you're going to be having, thinner gauge steel, a lower overall weight capacity. It does have some nice touches like these laser cut logos, laser cut numbers into the steel, the closed ladder, which I love to see on this, and these kind of pop pins, and then they screw in the front and on the back post. So these are pretty solid, nice looking pins. They're magnetic. And then this one has the screw in to make sure it's secure. Knurled handle grips here, and a knurled handle. That's one thing. As you would go down, you would have to have your seat all in the up position, or it's not going to lay down. So that's one thing you need, you'd have to have set up to go into the decline position. But it will go down, lay flat. And then there's also a knurled handle here. It's kind of thinner, but I do like having a knurled handle on the front, and it's pretty easy to grab. There is a pad here, but you can get your hand in there fairly easily, or you can always underhand grip it if that's what you want to do. But I do like to just get in there and get a grip of that. Now these bolts, the bolts look good. It's on a 3x3 frame, 3x3 tubing, but for this size of bench, you really don't need 3x3 holes, or at least the 1-inch hardware. It has 1-inch hardware on the frames in the back. That's really just overkill for this bench, but it does look cool. The problem with that is the stuff they give you in the package, they give you a blister pack of tools, but there's no 1-inch tools in there. So you'd have to get yourself some type of 1-inch tool, a 1-inch wrench, or a large adjustable wrench, 36 millimeter socket or a 1-inch socket. But since it's imported, you're probably going to want 36 millimeter socket or impact wrench. And then to install all the bolts underneath the seat, I just use my 13 millimeter small socket to do all the bolts underneath. And then on the 1-inch bolts, they're using lock washers here. So they have blue nylon thread. So once those are threaded on there, they're going to be pretty hard to get off if you ever have to move it or break it down. Just something to be aware of. A lot of companies use a 1-inch bolt and a lock washer. They're using nylon lock washers here. So just so you know, it threads as it goes in through there. But just first impressions, it is an update, a better version of the one that they already had on the market. They've made some tweaks to it, like enclosing the ladder system. I've seen some other companies that have one that looks similar to this, but they don't have a closed ladder system. So this is a newer, updated model. They even have the Mikolo cut into the pad there, which really looks cool. It feels decent. I mean, it's not the thickest pad, and it does have a gripper style vinyl, which you're seeing on all the newer benches. It does have a gripper style vinyl. It's not quite the same as like Rep or some of these other ones, but it does have a gripper vinyl on there, and it feels pretty comfortable. It's not the thickest, but it does feel pretty solid. Overall, I think it might be a pretty decent budget bench, but we'll get into it and test it, and we'll follow up at the end. We'll give you some training notes and things like that. Let you know what we were able to use it for.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Parkour.